In this video, I'm going to show you how to hold the double bass bow comfortably, French or German, and I'm going to do it from every conceivable angle. What's going on? It's Jason Heath, and I got back recently from the American String Teachers Association conference, and I did a 5-hour pre-conference session with the wonderful bassist and educator Bob Phillips. And I was just taking notes through that whole session. Bob is such an expert on all things string education and bass education. And Bob had such a great way of presenting to these non-bass players how to get comfortable with the bow, the French bow and the German bow. And so that's what we're going to do in today's video. By the way, we dig into topics like this every single week in our email newsletter. We've got free monthly sheet music, all sorts of teaching and performance tips, and much more. If you're not on the list, consider subscribing. Bob started off by just having people not even hold the bow and take the first finger and just hold it up in the air and point it to the right. And then get the right hand set up on the left hand first finger. And this works pretty well just because of the symmetry of your hands. If you put the finger out like this and you put your first finger on the knuckle, this is for French bow, by the way, starting off with. So the first finger on the knuckle there and the pinky on the nail. That's going to be a nice bow span for just about everybody starting out. And then just take and tap the thumb. Tap the thumb on the knuckle right here. So like this middle knuckle right here. So first finger here on this knuckle, pinky just on the nail of your first finger, and then you're just going to tap the thumb. And tapping is great because you are unlikely to tap collapsed. You're probably going to be nice and curved, and that's what it's all about for French bow, is keeping this thumb nice and curved. If you get into the habit of collapsing or going straight with it, that's going to cause all sorts of tension issues. So just making sure from the get-go that you're staying nice and curved with that. And then something Bob did throughout the session, which I think is super cool, is to just release and shake it out. And that's something that is just very helpful for kind of like, you know, going back to zero, going back to a relaxed state, and then rebuilding it. This is not the most natural motion we do in life. And so getting the bow hand set up, and I do think it's a little more squirrely for French bow. French bow is my main bow. If you can get this set up right, so many things are going to fall into place. We also want to find an appropriate level of activation. So Bob was using a scale of 1 to 5. I think that's a good way to start. 1 would be so relaxed that the bow would just fall out of your hands. 5 would be about as squeezed as you can possibly be. So throughout this step and the subsequent steps, what Bob was having the students do, and I think this is a really good approach, is to get the bow hand set, and always, by the way, come from above. Because if you come from below, it's likely that something's going to be a little low in the shoulder or in the arm. If you come from above, you are like descending into a comfortable position. That's true also for the left hand, by the way. And I find that it's something that I've known kind of instinctively, but Bob really laid that out, and I found myself during this clinic feeling much more relaxed. So since doing the clinic, I've actually been doing that in my own practicing, just make sure that I come from above and sink into the bow hand. Get that bow hand set up. Again, come from above and make sure you got the pinky right there on the nail, you got the first finger on the knuckle, you're tapping the thumb, and then squeeze to a level 5, and then just relax. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But I do find this exercise works. So getting set up and then squeeze and then relax. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It really helps eliminate tension. German bow is similar but different. You can just make an OK sign with the first finger and thumb. This is a great way to start. And then just go in and get nice and comfortable, and your first finger or thumb, depending on your type of German bow approach, is going to be the driving force on this. I believe Bob said that he focuses on first finger, but Bob and I are both primarily French bow players, and we've covered German bow extensively with German bow experts on this channel, so I will link up to some German bow resources here if you want to go deeper. Now we add the bow into the equation, and there are many different ways to do this. I like to hold the bow now in my left hand and do the same exact approach. Just come from above, get the first finger set, And for me, that's going to be right by this grip here. And then get the pinky set. And for me, that's going to be right around this dot here. And then just tap the thumb. We're tapping the thumb. It's this little spot right, not in the frog here, although that is an Italian style of playing. They call it the Italian bow hold, very cool. But you can actually see on my bow where it's all worn away. That's where my thumb goes. So it's the corner of the thumb. It's right where the skin and the nail meet. And that corner is going to go right on that octagonal side right there. And just like we did for just setting up on the finger, same thing, put the bow hand there, get your bow hold set, and squeeze 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shake it out, rinse and repeat. German bow is a similar process, but with German bow, which I do think comes a little bit easier for most folks, parking the frog against the palm. This was the term Bob used, and then letting it come away so that you have some flexibility here. There's a real tendency for beginners to just kind of jam the frog up into the hand, and it sort of locks it into place. And while you know that feels comfortable at first, what you realize as you start to play is you need to have a little bit of space here. So we park and then we come away, and that gives us a little bit of space for some flexibility. Same exact thing, shake it out, park it, and you can squeeze 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm trying to avoid letting the third finger get notched in here. That's a common bad habit that you see a lot of people develop. So for me, and again, this is not my primary bow, but I have thumb and first finger set up like so. I have second finger kind of like where thumb is for French bow, but on the opposite side, it's just kind of chilling out there. Third finger is kind of chilling out on the ferrule, this metal part right here, and pinky is also chilling out on that side of the ferrule, and just shaking it out, getting it set up. Always supporting like this is very important. And always supporting here. We never want to hold the bow just like this in the air until we get much more advanced, or maybe we don't do it at all, because in reality, you're always going to have the string helping to support the bow, French or German. So this is a more realistic feel for how you're actually going to be when you're set up to play. Then going from, whether it's French or German, going from this, coming from above, get set up, and then just release and go straight up into the air like this. And here's where we can play all our bow games. We can write our name in cursive. We can stir the witch's cauldron, and done numerous examples of this on other videos. I'll link up to some resources for you here. German bow is the exact same idea. We get set up, we make sure that we come away from the frog just a bit for the flexibility, and then we just go up in the air. We like this pointed straight up because the weight is not going over to one side. This is nice and comfortable, and yeah, great way when you're starting out, or frankly, I still do these exercises to this day just to make sure I'm really getting everything aligned right. Finally, we're ready to get set up on the string, and here's where you really want to make sure that you are checking in and making sure that everything is nice and relaxed. So I like to start by getting the bow set like this, nice and relaxed, and I can do the squeeze, I can take it, I can shake it out, and then just let it go up like this, nice and relaxed, and then maybe even take it out, shake it out. You can set up like this too if you like, and then finally coming over to the string and just landing on the string from above. And I like to feel the weight really sink into the string. I think that's okay. I believe this exercise that I've heard referred to as splat. So it's a good exercise. It's getting set up and making sure once you land on the string, and that's maybe a little harsh for landing, but that you also are nice and relaxed. And can you move the string from side to side? Doing that and then letting go. That pop and release, that's a great exercise. And if you want to learn more about articulation, we've got a great video on that. We'll link it up here and we'll see you over there.